Hi there, I'm Greg from RVHaulers, and in this video I'm going to show you a Volvo 780 that a customer brought to us for singling. We've done a number of other unique things to this truck, things you may not have seen yet in one of our previous videos. So I invite you to join us for a few minutes and I'll take you a tour inside and outside this truck and show you what some of the unique things that we did and some of the things that we found. Join me! Sometimes at RVHaulers we have trucks in stock that our customers like and they purchase and we customize to their liking. Other times, such as in this case, our customer Reed found this beautiful truck and brought it to us for some work. And let me show you some of the things that we've done for him. So Reed is a professional driver, so he really knows his trucks and he felt comfortable doing the purchase himself, and he did a great job locating a pretty good deal. Some of the things we've done is we put in brand new headlights, and to give them longevity we also added 3M protectant. So you'll see there is a seam here, but this is in two pieces, and we've got 3M protectant on there so that the road debris doesn't pummel those really nice looking headlights. Reed's keeping the old ones just to have some spares as well. Things like the bug guard are often missing. Now, here's a little heads up. People often look at this little grating that's in behind here and say, oh, I've got a bug screen. Well, the truth is it doesn't do all that great a job because you can't clean it very well. So I like to add the nice bug screens. Reed and his wife are going to be heading to Texas here shortly. And down south, we all know that occasionally we get a few bugs. Something else that we discovered was the lights in this lower fixture were not working. There's a signal light in there, and we were able to take this apart. What often happens is the wiring that comes through and goes through this arm, you'll see it's exposed right there, and of course this door is opening and closing a whole bunch of times, and these wires will often wear over time and they'll break. In this case, we took this all apart. This shroud and this mirror were quite compromised. They were quite broken. So we bought some new components in here, but we found the wiring problem was actually way down inside the dash. So we repaired that for Reed. Also, Reed asked us to repair some of these chicken lights. We've got them all working for him. And this truck was in storage at one point in time. Now, if you step back a little bit, you'll see she's a pretty good looking truck. What I want to show you is we took some time to do some real polishing. There was all kinds of scratches in the paint, vertical scratches. Somebody had a tarp over top of this truck, and there were some, we could tell some ratchet straps were here, and it rubbed over time in the wind, but we were able to take some time. We did our cut. We actually had to do a fairly aggressive cut with some cutting compound and get it down to a fine compound. But now the paint looks gorgeous. When Reed brought us this truck, of course, this was a commercial tractor. So it had two rear axles. What we've done is we've placed the rear axle in a mid position. It's almost right in the middle of where the two axles used to be. And what Reed's vision for this truck is he wants to take it and tow his very large fifth wheel. He's picking up in just a few days, actually. Pretty exciting. And him and his wife, as I said, are going to be traveling, heading towards warmer climates in Texas. And eventually Reed's vision is that he wants to put a bed on here. But one of the nice things we have here at RVHaulers is we can do our projects in stages. There's no rule that says we have to build a bed day one. I've always counseled my customers, if they're a little unsure about what they want to do back here, why don't we set it up just like axle roads? Now, what we've done is we've singled it, we've cleaned up the frame a whole bunch. I'll get up and close and explain to you what we did there. We've installed the fifth wheel air ride hitch, the ET hitch, and we've also built a custom bumper pull. I need help from you for just a second before we continue our tour. We're a small company. We're like a niche of a niche when it comes to these RV haulers and these heavy duty trucks, you can help me out with a couple things. First of all, if you don't mind going down below, give me a thumbs up. It helps others find our videos. And the other thing that you can help me with is please pose a question down below or a comment. If there's something you've seen that you'd like me to spend more time on, I will do that. The reason for this whole video is I had this truck in an RV hauler video just a little while ago, and people said, Greg, tell us more about that truck. That's why I'm making this video. If you see things you want to see, let me know. I'll add those to my next video. The other thing you can do is if you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe to my channel. And one of the goals we have, anytime we do work like this, where it's stage work, is we want to avoid what I call rip and replace. Oh, hi, Josie. She's checking out the other tire we're polishing, I guess. You let me know if it needs any more work. What we like to do is get everything as staged as possible. You know, place the axle where it needs to be. Reed's vision is for more of a flat deck bed system. So these are the fenders that we would use. The bumper pull can be moved back when we lengthen this frame for whatever bed we install. And of course, the ET hitch is just bolted in, right? So we can remove these bolts and very quickly, these bolts as well, and very quickly this hitch can be removed. In the future, we can lengthen the frame, build the bed, and place the hitch. And we've designed that bumper pull hitch so it too is detachable and will be reused when we build the bed. Hey, let's talk about fenders for a minute. I have tried so many different kinds of fenders, and there's real variability in price. And I want to be honest, the little bit cheaper ones don't last. I've had to repair some over time for my customers where they've hit the road, and after a period of time, we've had some cracking in the fenders. These are made by Minimizer, and I found they are the only ones that will survive when it comes to the poly fenders. Some of the stainless fenders you may be able to find, they're a little bit more rigid and they don't fail. But the black poly ones, the only way to go is with these Minimizer fenders. The other thing we add, and here's a little secret, is don't put heavy rubber mud flaps on here. I've seen a lot of people that'll come in with, you know, the very thick, heavy mud flaps. These are more of a poly. You'll see the thickness of them is a little bit thinner, and they're more of a plastic poly. They're lighter. What we found over time is when we put the heavy mud flaps on here, these do have a little bit of flex in them, and they need the flex, right? There's a little bit of bend in these kind of plastic rubber bushings, so there's some play in there. Things that are rigid, when they're going down the road, they can fail. But if it's got a little bit of give, kind of like those buildings in the wind, if the building can sway a little bit, it stands up better. Go with lighter lighter mud flaps, and it's not hanging on here as much and creating so much of that wiggling and possible breakage. What you'll find is the other fender designs, the bolts will actually start to break right in here and here. You'll start to see some fracturing and some cracking. But these fenders made by Minimizer, they stand up. Now, something else we did, Reed wanted to have the frame looking nice and tidy, so we sandblasted this frame. We did a high build epoxy primer and then a bed liner spray on material. So this is that rubberized stuff, tough as nails, and it stands up over time, and it's going to keep that frame looking pretty. The other reason we went with finishing the frame is when we do more of the flat bed design, that frame is a little bit visible from the sides. Even if you put some toolboxes in there, you'll still often see the frame, and it's nice to have it looking good. Now, when we've got the whole frame exposed like this, usually this decking is off, we've always got our eyes open, right? We're looking with a wide field of vision for anything that is perhaps not going to give us longevity or long-term performance or reliability on the truck. So we found a bunch of air leaks that we repaired for Reed. Leveling valve, you'll see that there's a number of fittings. You're going to see some brand new brass. You're going to see new air lines. A lot of the blue stuff, colored stuff, is stuff that we've touched. It's kind of a way of letting the customer know this is where we've been and these are the things we've worked on. We also installed a camera system on this truck. So you'll see that on the dash inside. It's our cab cam system. It's mounted on a 90-pound welder's magnet. So this can be moved and can be pointed down to look at the bumper pole when you're hitching up there. Now we've already started the drum build for Reed. There's going to be, the platform work that we're going to be doing back here. So in anticipation of that drum being installed, we know it's when that drum box is up here, it's very hard to get to those airbags and those shocks. So we've done some proactive work there as well. You'll see we've also got a new leveling valve on the back of the cab. That leveling valve, many times we look at the alignment of the sleeper as well. Let me talk about that. So as these trucks go down the road, many times they're on a road that's a little bit tilted, right? There's an angle to the road because all the water drains on the road down to the ditch. So what happens is this cab is tilted over to the ditch side for much of its life. And there is a cab alignment. There's some bushings here. There's this little square and a square. That's rubber on the outside. And there's this alignment arm. There's actually two of these. There's one in behind the seams there, one in the back. So we always want to look at this alignment too. Before you put a bed on, not only look at airbags, shocks, but also look at that cab alignment. What you look for is often you'll start to see that the cab actually has shifted towards the ditch side or the passenger side. You'll see that that little alignment bushing is not vertical, but instead on one that's misaligned, it's tilted. It turns and it sits crooked. So take care of that before you install a bed or a drum box. I remember one of my customers, I think it was about 10 years ago, said, "My gosh, Greg, you're like a beaver for details. You just get in there and gnaw away at all these little tiny things." And that's true. Let me show you the kinds of details we get into. So this is the build budget for Reed. There's page 1, 2, and we detail out all the repairs that we find when we inspect the truck. We also detail some that we find. I've always recommended establish a repair budget to address those items not found in our first inspection. In every conversion, there's always issues that can arise. And that's a big part of what we do. We don't just convert these trucks and send them down the road. We drive them. And we find, we found the push-pull valves on the dash. Well, one of them was leaking. If you pulled it just right, it would like shh, and you'd lose air. So fix it. And that's what you see in this list is pages and pages of alignment bushings, the rear axle shocks, glass, evaluating different things, installing, there's the minimizer fenders, polishing, power distribution systems. It's just the way that we are. We like to make sure, we treat every truck as though it was our own. If we're putting our family in there, our grandkids, or our precious cargo, if you will, and towing our investment behind, let's make sure we take care of the small things on the truck. And that level of detail is what I do for you if you want to bring us an RV hauler as well. Under the hood, we found some leaks. We fixed them. We found that when the windshield wiper system sat for a few days, one of the arms was, you could see it was kind of hesitating. It was a little grumpy. Took it apart, lubricated it. Now she works beautifully. I hope I'm not boring you with this video, but I like to share with people some of the things that we learn as we go through these trucks. And hopefully when you're buying your truck, and maybe you're bringing it to us, you know that not only will we, find things as we inspect it, but we'll hopefully find things as we drive it. My job is to fix problems. I've signed up for this. We love it when we find the problem or the little fix and you don't have to deal with it. I like that. Well, let me take you up inside. You'll see that we've installed our direct link brake controller system, and Reed supplied the camera system himself. So this is one that was not able to be installed flush or into the dash. Just the system that was purchased is such that it couldn't be done. So we've mounted it. We've got a little sun shroud that goes around the outside just to make sure there's no glare. And this one is touchscreen. So you can look at a front camera. Of course, we don't have that. You can look at a back camera. There is the view of the hitch. So while we were at it with the camera system, you know, we're pulling wires through the dash. We're feeding things carefully. What we've done is, while we were at it, we knew that there was a drum box going on here. So we take the initiative. You'll see up in the back, there is some wires pre-ran for the drum box camera. So eventually he's going to have a camera looking down on his bed. Reed also asked us to pull a wire through to the front bumper. He's going to be doing more of a digital video recording system, a DVR. So he's going to be recording a little bit of what goes on outside the front of his truck as well. He'll be installing that camera himself. So here's what we also do. We do tag team, or I call it a demarcation point. A lot of us are handy, and if there are things that you know you can take care of, I'm happy to have you take care of them. We just identify where I end and you take over. Also, just as a favor for Reed, just to help him get home, we installed our private RV not for hire decals on the side of the sleeper. Now, let's talk about those for just a second. In only one US county am I aware that we actually have to put those on. This is more of a courtesy that we do for the highway folks. So there's no law that says that those have to be there, but we do it to make it really, really obvious to the highway folks that this is not a commercial truck, right? There's no labeling of, you know, weights and VIN numbers and things like that on the side of the truck. Those are all removed, but it's really nice to be obvious and say, hey, I'm driving this as a private individual. This is not a commercial truck. It's being used for, obviously, RV purposes. I was speaking earlier about options. You can bring us a truck. You can perhaps buy a truck that we might have in stock, or I'll help you find a truck out there in the marketplace. The other thing I want to talk about when it comes to options is you can fly here to RVHaulers. We're only 15 minutes from the international airport. I'll pick you up. We'll do some training in the truck. When you're comfortable, you can head home. I've done road trips with customers on the way home. They've said, hey, Greg, why don't you join us for a little while? We've gone all the way to the destination or part way. We also pick up and deliver. So we've got professional drivers. Actually, there's some of our RVHauler customers that own rigs that will pick up your rig should you want to have some customizations done, or they'll deliver and they'll even do some training for you. Having training from a professional driver is pretty awesome. Thanks so much for watching my YouTube video. I appreciate you taking a few minutes, and I'm going to put some more videos up here on the screen in just a second. I appreciate you watching this video about axle roads.